Yeah, welcome back to my class again. So we are resuming our first class in 2024 in learning Python programming language. So this is actually the season 2. We've done the season 1. If you have not been watching my videos, please go back to watch the season 1 so that you can be able to follow me in this season 2 class. Now, in season 1, we're able to establish data, and we said data is a placeholder for information, and we said variables are placeholder for data. And once you assign data to a variable, an object of that class is automatically created. So what we want to look at now is control flow, right? That's what we want to look at. Now, by default, in every programming language, instructions are carried out sequentially. But this sequential flow of instruction in any program is to write a simple program. So where you want the program to have a decision-making ability, then there are certain control statements that you'll have to introduce into your program to enable that program make decisions based on certain conditions. So that is what we want to look at briefly. So in this class today is just a brief introduction of that control flow. So looking at this, we say understanding the concept of control flow in Python and how to use control flow statements to manage the execution order of code. Introduction. Control flow refers to the order in which statements are executed in program. In Python, control flow is managed through various control flow statements, including conditionals and loops. Python supports several types of control flow statements. The two most common types are conditional statements and looping statements. Conditional statements. These statements allow the program to execute different code blocks based on certain conditions. In Python, the primary conditional statements are if statement. Execute a block of code if a specified condition is true. Elif statement. Use in conjunction with the if statement to check additional conditions if the preceding if conditions are false. Else statement. Execute a block of code if none of the preceding conditions are true. Practically, we are going to see this theory. Now, looping statements. These statements allow the program to execute a block of code repeatedly. In Python, common looping statements include for loop. Iterate over a sequence such as a list, tuple, or string, or any iterable object. While loop, repeatedly execute a block of code as long as a specified condition is true. Practically, we are going to see it. Now, this is an example of the conditional statement. So that is what I'm just going to show you. These conditional statements are the statement that enables your program to make decisions. At a particular point, the program can either we go left or you go right. So to control the flow, without this statement, you can design your program to have sequential flow, meaning the first instruction, second instruction, third instruction, just like that. And there is no condition attached to it. But like I said, that will be a very simple program. And we've been seeing that in the season 1 that we concluded. So looking at this now, the first conditional statement is the if statement. The if statement. Syntax. This is the syntax for it. In my last video that I did in this learning Python, I just did a brief introduction into 2024 video. Now, in that video, I spoke about using the concept of body, soul, and spirit to teach Python. And I said the body actually represents the syntax. And then I wrote a piece too on my Facebook page. So if you have not read that, piece, probably you go back and look at it. Now, looking at this is the syntax. So the syntax for the if statement is if, then there is a condition, if condition. So if I'm going to explain this, if condition, once the condition is fulfilled, you go in. This is a door. This colon is like a door. So once the condition is fulfilled, you go in and execute whatever program that is, whatever instruction that is inside. Practically, you are going to see it. But this is an example. So in this example, I'm saying assign 10 to x. Now, 10 is a literal, an integer, right? Once you assign this 10 to x, x becomes what? An object of the class int. We did that in season 1. So if you go back to season 1, you'll be able to understand what we are doing here. Now we are just assigning 10 to x. X is a variable. So once you assign 10 to x, x becomes an object of the class int. Now, following this syntax of if condition, and then you enter through this door. If the condition is true, you enter the door. If it is false, you don't. If x is greater than 5, you will have to enter this door and then execute this. I told you in season 1 that Python uses indentation to define its block of code. So this is indentation. You can see where this if is starting at this point, but this print is not starting at the same line with the if. So it means that the block of code that should be executed if this condition is true is this. So if x is greater than 5, you have to enter into this house. And whatever instruction that you see inside, execute it. So if x is greater than 5, come in, print x is greater than 5. This is a string because of this double quote that you are putting here. So you are supplying this argument to this print function to display on the screen. That is basically what you are doing. So x, assign 10 to x. If x is greater than 5, which in this case it is true, so it will come in and print x is greater than 5 on the screen. Practically, you will see it. Now, if else statement, syntax. This is just an introduction. I'm going to take them one by one, and I'm going to show you a flow chart that also represents each of them. So this is just an introduction into it. So follow me in this introduction. Now, syntax. If condition, else. In the first one, this one, there was no other statement attached to it, meaning if the condition is not true, then don't do anything. If the condition is true, go in and execute this instruction. That is what this is telling you. But in this one, it's saying if the condition is not true, then don't go in, execute the else block. That is what this is saying. So this is the syntax. If condition, colon, this else, then colon. This x will be under this place. So this is the syntax. Now, if the condition is true, then go in and execute the instruction that is inside. Else, execute this one. So that is what the if else statement is saying. In the if statement, there was no else condition, or there was no else statement. If the condition is false, don't do anything. But if it is true, execute the instruction inside the block of code. So example, assign 3 to x. Then if x is greater than 5, go in and execute this instruction, which is print x is greater than 5. Else, print this one. So in this case now, x is not greater than 5. X is less than 5 because x is pointing to what? 3. Now x is less than 5, so it will not go in. It will not go into this room. Rather, it will come to the else statement and execute it. So it will go in here and print x is less than or equals to 5. Practically, I'm going to show you. Now we have the if else statement. Now syntax, if condition, if condition. This is where you are having multiple conditions to give you an expected output. So you can use the if else statement. So here, example is you are assigning 0 to x. Now, if x is greater than 0, go in and carry out this instruction, which is print x is positive. If x is less than, this if means else. But in Python, it's written as if, not else if. Else, if x is less than 0, go in and print x is negative. Else, print x is 0. So what this is saying is that, looking at this now, x, you are assigning 0 to x. So the first condition, x is greater than 0. No. So you are not going to enter it. You come to the next one. X is less than 0. No. So you are not going to enter it. So since x is not greater than 0 and x is not less than 0, none of this condition is met. So you are going to just print the x statement, which is print x is 0. So that is the instruction here. So that is the if statement. The next one is the loop. I told you there are two. I told you here that Python supports several types of control flow statement. The two most common types are conditional statement and looping. So I've shown you the various types of conditional statement. Now we are going to look at the loop. So we have the while loop, and the syntax for this while loop is while condition. So if the condition is true, then you go in and execute the instruction that is inside. You execute that block of code. So example, assign 0 to count. While count, which is this variable, while count is less than 5, go in and print out this instruction. So what is it saying? Go in, print iteration. This iteration is a string literal because of this double quote. So it's going to print this out, iteration, then colon. And then it will now go in and print out the value that is already inside this count. So the first value that was assigned to count is 0. That is less than 5. So go in and print iteration, colon. It will print 0. Now, when it prints this 0, you can see that this line, this print and this count are on the same line, meaning the block of code that is inside this while loop are these two. So you are going to execute these two before the next iteration. So after you print out the first iteration, which is 0, then it will carry out the next instruction, which is what? Count plus equals to 1. This is the augmentation operator. We've done this in season 1. The augmentation operator. So what this is doing is the same thing as saying count plus 1, then the value assigned it to count again. So since count is already 0, you are going to increase that value by 1 and then reassign it to count. So when you reassign count 1 to count, you will now come back here to reiterate. So 1 is less than 5. It will go in again and it will print out this. Then it will increase count again by 1. So count becomes 2. 2 is less than 5. It will go in and print out this again. Then it will increase count again by 1. So count becomes 3. Then it iterates this and say 3 is less than 5. It repeats that until count is no longer less than 5. Then it will stop. So as long as this condition is met, then the instruction inside will be executed. That is what this is doing to us. So that is a loop. You are going to repeat the process repeatedly until the condition becomes false. So once the condition is true, it will continue to iterate. Now the next loop is the for loop. Syntax is for variable in iterable. This variable, so it will check, and you use a for loop for when you know the quantity that is in that iterable. So like, for example, here we have apple, banana, cherry inside this list. So we know 3 times. So the for loop is just going to iterate 3 times. So this is the condition for fruit in fruit, meaning you create a variable that is going to hold whatever it is that you pull out from this list. Now, apple, banana, cherry is a list that you are assigning to what? To this variable called fruit. Now, you are using the for loop to pull out everything that is inside this list. So the first thing you do is, now when you are pulling out the first one, you need to have a variable where you are going to assign it to, a container where you will put it. So that container is fruit. So you are saying when you go in, whatever you see inside this fruit, the first one you will see, put it here, and then go into this loop and print out the instruction that is on, carry out the instruction. So this print fruit is a block of code that is inside this for loop. You will go in and print out apple. Then it will iterate again. It will copy banana and reassign it to this fruit. Then you will go in again and print out banana. Then it will do that 3 times and print out apple, banana, and cherry. So those are the concept of control flow in Python that I just want to demonstrate to you. Now I am going to show you those examples I've used. I'm going to demonstrate them using my PyCharm. So looking at this first one, which is what? X, assign 10 to X. And then if X is greater than 5, go in and print this. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it in my PyCharm, run it for you to see what the output will be like. All right, so this is the program. This is my PyCharm. So this is the program. I have X, assign 10 to X. If X is greater than 5, print X is greater than 5. So I'm just going to execute this. Now, can you see the output? The output is X is greater than 5 because it is true. Now, this condition is true. The moment this condition is true, it's going to execute what is inside. It will go in and execute what is inside. Now, if I change this one to 3, it's not going to do anything. So I'm just going to execute it. See, there is no output because X is not greater than 5. So it's not going to enter. Now it will not do anything. It will just execute and the process will finish. That is all. So the second one that I wrote is if else. Now, if there is else condition, so here now I'm just going to say X equals to 3. If X is greater than 5, print X is greater than 5. Then I come here and say else and put the colon. That is the door. Enter. It will automatically give me this block. That is the indentation because it's a block of code for the else statement. Print X is less than 5. So I'm saying if X is greater than, assign 3 to X. If X is greater than 5, go in here and carry out this instruction, which is print X is greater than 5. Else, print X is less than 5. Now I'm going to execute. What will it give me? To give me this second one. So you see, X is less than 5. Now, it will check this condition. This condition is not true. So it's not going to go in to execute this. So it will come to the else statement and execute this one. That is what it's saying. Now, I gave you another, the if else statement. So I assign 0 to this one. I said if X is greater than 0, print X is positive. So I'm just going to change this. Go in and print X is positive. Then if X is less than 0, then I say go in and print X is negative. And then else print X is 0. So this is the if. So you are assigning 0 to X, this variable. And then this is the statement. You can see the way the flow is going to go. If X is greater than 0, go in and print X is positive. So it's making decision. If X is less than 0, go in and print X is negative. Else, print X is 0. So what is it going to print? X is equal to 0. So it's going to test the first one. That is not true, so it will not go in to print this. It will check the second condition. X is not less than 0, so it will not go in to print this. Else, it will print X is 0, so execute. So you see, X is 0. Now, if I change this to 1, it will print X is positive. See, x is positive. If I change this to -1 and then I run it again, you see, x is negative. So that is it. It's checking the value of x to determine which of these statement it is going to run and which output is going to present to us on the screen. That is basically what this conditional statement is helping it to do. So I've shown you the if statement, the if else statement, and then the if else statement. Now we are going to look at the loop. Now, looking at the while loop, the syntax is while condition, then the colon. If the condition is true, go in and carry out the instruction. So now you look at this, count, assign 0 to count. While count is less than 5, print iteration count until it is, once the condition is false, then the instruction will stop. So I'm just going to copy this and place it on my PyCharm. All right, so this is it. Assign 0 to count. While count is less than 5, print iteration count. Then I've explained this to you. So what this statement is simply saying is this: assign 0 to count. Then there is this condition. It's going to test it. If the condition is true, it will go in and carry out this instruction. So there are two instructions in this block of code. The first one is print iteration, which is what? A string literal. It's going to print everything out like this, and then it will print the value of count. What is in this count? In the first one, count is 0, and 0 is less than 5, so it's going to print 0. Then it will increase count by 1 using this augmentation operator. So it will increase count by 1. Now it will come back now and test it. So let's just run this, and it's going to print 0 to 4. So execute. So you see, iteration 0, iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3, and then iteration 4. So it's printing this one here as a string literal that you supplied, because this print function is now receiving two arguments. The first argument is what? A string literal, just as it is in iteration, then colon. And then it's going to put the value of count. So the first time, the value of count was 0. Second time is 1, 3, 4, like that. So when it now increase this to 5 and test it, count is 5. 5 is not less than 5. So it's not, that is false. It's no longer true. So it's not going to enter to print. The loop is going to stop. Now that is for what? For a while loop. Now this is the syntax for the for loop. For, then variable that will hold whatever it is that you are bringing out from this iterable. So for variable in iterable, and then you will go in and carry out the instruction. So the example is fruit. A fruit is a variable that this is a list: apple, banana, cherry. So these three fruit now are assigned to this fruit as an object, right? Now, for fruit in fruit, print fruit. So it will go in for every time it sees a member of this list, it will copy it and put it in this fruit. Then it will go in. Now, the difference between a for loop and a while loop is that you must know the quantity that is inside the iterable, and then you can use a for loop. So you know the number of times you are going to iterate. But for a while loop, it's based on the condition. Once the condition is true, it will go in and execute the instruction. Once the condition is false, it will stop. So I'm just going to copy this again and I'll paste it on my pie chart. So if once I execute this, you can see it's going to show me apple, banana, and cherry. If I add another thing here, mango, and I run it again, just going to increase it: apple, banana, cherry, mango. That is it. So the first thing it will do is it will go into this list, copy this apple, put it in fruit, and then go in and print out fruit. That is it. This is the intro I wanted to give to you on control flow. So in my next class, I'm going to now break them down. I'm going to into each of these topics one by one to really give you a full illustration using a flow chart for you to see a full illustration of this concept. And after that, we'll move into function to see what is going on in the computer system. So if you found this class interesting, please don't forget to click on the like button, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Share the video so that it can encourage me and go far on YouTube and on Facebook page. So till then, see you in my next class.